Hey, what's up, folks? So the tour's starting in 2 minutes. I just talked to one of the directors, and they said it's cool for us to live stream. So get ready. I'm about to head inside. We're at Spooked in Seattle, 102 Cherry Street here in Seattle. We're getting started. I'm going inside. I'll try not to do too much talking. Okay, let me show you. Hey, Jason, what's up? Let me flip this around. Show you this thing right here. In the shop. That's pretty cool. Uh, antique stuff back here. Oh, here we go. We're already underground. All right, so they said we're gonna post up over here in these pews. So I'll just hang out over here, sit in the back. Yeah, maybe not completely in the back. All right, yeah. So yeah, this ought to be fun. The tour's supposed to last about 60 minutes, something like that, and they're gonna take us through this whole thing. But yeah, so on the ground right now, having a good old time. They got it still decked out like it's Halloween out here. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. I'm gonna show you my view again. Okay. So that's what decorations on the wall. They still got the Halloween stuff going on. There's some other folks in here for the tour. Maybe there won't be a whole lot of people in here. I don't know. Let's see. But yeah, they got all this stuff set up over here. Just hanging out. Okay. So yeah, this ought to be fun. Got here on time, bright and early. You know, we'll see what's up. It's gonna be a good time. Gonna take a look at some of this stuff around here while we're waiting for this thing to get started. What is this? Terpene hydrate, codeine elixir. Some of this stuff going on here. Old medicine. Looks like. Please do not touch. Please do not touch. No, I'm kidding. Okay. All right, what's this stuff over here? It's hard to tell because the lighting's not all that great in here. Show you all the cool stuff going on in here. This old style cars out here. Old Hearst, that is. We got the little casket here with the mannequin in here. Some old picture up there. It's an automatic, right? Oh, no. Checking the stuff on the shelves here. What's going on here? Williard Roby. All the medals and all that. Little pictures and all. Yeah, it is kind of creepy, isn't it? Oh, crap. All right. Yeah, that looks spooky. Looks like some spooky stuff down here. Oh man, what's going on down here? Some of this other stuff. Old school. Cemetery. Good Lord. Just look around. Stuff on these shelves over here. Still waiting for this tour to get started. I don't know. It's gonna go a little longer than I thought, I guess. Yeah, got some old books in here. Psychic vampires, huh? Living Wicca, urban pagan. Good Lord, man. What'd you guys talk me into? Yeah, it's all kinds of creepy over here. All right, got some old school. Yeah. It says hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. Try not to say too much about anything over here. But yeah, the guy said it's okay for me to stream. So I was like, cool. Hey, can I video record? He's like, yeah. What about live stream? Yeah, sure. I'm like, all right, sweet. So back over here, this is just this area down here. Got the ghosts up here and all that. Underground in Seattle, we're just taking a look. I think we're about to get started. Okay, hold on. We gotta get over here. Hold on.
Oh, hi, Dave.
Hi, Dave.
I thought Canadians were supposed to be friendly.
We're not.
Oh no.
We're just loud.
Canadians are good. Where is it from?
I'm Seattle.
Welcome.
New Jersey.
New Jersey?
Hi, Dave. I'm up from.
Cool. Very cool. Kind of welcome. So, glad you're here, guys. Now, we're not going to be in here for long. I just want to give you a preview, kind of set the story up. I'm going to cover, give or take, 12,000 years of Seattle history in 1 hour, but it's going to be in this neighborhood. It's a great neighborhood. It incorporates everything about our city in one neighborhood. So before we go to our first underground section, this is very important. I want to talk about the people that were here first for a very long time, the indigenous people. They were here for 12,000 years before the pioneers came in the 1800s. Now, in this part of the world, well, first of all, the tribes have different names back home. About 70 different tribes with a wide range. Today, that range goes as far north as British Columbia, and then it goes as far south as southern Oregon. The two immediate tribes in this area were the Duwamish and the Suquamish. They had a common chief, the namesake of our city, Chief Seattle. We're the largest city in North America named after either a Native American chief or in Canada, the tribes are called First Nations. So we're very proud of that. Now we're proud of that, but we still can't pronounce his name properly all these years later. Now that's in his language. His name has been anglicized twice, well, to Self and then to Seattle, but in his language, the ways to pronounce his name is Sealk. Sealk. So you start with S-E-E, and then you pop it off your throat. In language, that's called a glottal pause. Then his name, as I said, was anglicized twice, but it should be something like Sealk. So it's not the Seahawks, it's the Sealk Hawks, and these are namesakes. So they were here first, important to note, but then we're going to go all the way up to the 1800s today. Now, the last tunnel we walk through will deal with certain of our history that our city fathers and your parents didn't want you to know about. For instance, towards the end of the 1800s, Pioneer Square was considered the most notorious red light district in the United States. Guess where they conveniently hid that activity? They swept it underground through these tunnels. I'll give you some of those stories, which, by the way, will also include Prohibition in the 1920s. This is very convenient to hide bootleg liquor. So I'll give you some of those stories. Now, it's small groups, your tour. Make it interactive. If you want to ask questions, feel free. And also take all the photos and video and streaming, whatever you want to do. But I think we're ready for the experience. So let's go and go.
All right.
Now, I gave you one variation of how to say Chief Seattle's name. The more proper one, Jared can do it. I won't do it because it hurts my throat, but give him your variation of Chief Seattle's name.
Well, I heard it pronounced by somebody who speaks the language, a member of the tribe, and it sounded to me like sound. So it was more along the lines of see ya, see ya,
Could you
see
see how that
ya.
would hurt your throat? So the pioneers just kept kind of whittling it down.
They were lazy. They standardized it.
So I do see. It's a lot easier.
And it's as close as
But he's right. There's very few people that actually speak the language. Her name is Vi Hiller, and she's gone. She died.
Oh, did she pass away?
But online, if you go on YouTube, she teaches how to do it. It's like close to what you're doing.
But it's supposed to be a like you call a horse with a reverse that, you blow air out.
Okay, I grew up in the city. I never called horses.
You ever call a
Oh,
horse?
I can't. I never-
Yeah, cabin.
This way.
Oh, I didn't know that, Jerry.
Yeah. She got.
Oh.
Cool. Whoa, here we go.
All right, guys, come on in. We're just gonna form a little half circle here, but just make sure you see the photo. Okay, I'll give you a short version of how the city responded. So Native Americans were here first, but they got pushed off the land in the 1800s when pioneers came west. And they came west in rapid fashion. They were given free land from the United States government. So at that time, they wanted to have Americans claim this land first. The area wasn't settled yet. Canada had a proposal to push their border as far south as southern Oregon today, or the Columbia River. So to make sure that didn't happen, to make sure Canada didn't grab the land first, the incentive for Americans to come out west was called the Donation Land Act. And that act was very simple. As an American, you could acquire 320 acres of land for free. All you had to do was come out west and stake a claim. And if you came out west as a married couple, you could double the claim. That's a lot of land for free and a land full of natural resources. So pioneers started to come out west along the Oregon Trail. Now the pioneers that founded this city came from Illinois, a group of 4 families and 24 people led by a man named Arthur Denny. They were called the Denny Party. Now, I can give you their itinerary. I'm not going to do that, but I will mention they did arrive here by ship near Portland, Oregon. They got off the Oregon Trail and then boarded a ship called the Schooner Exact. The Schooner Exact arrived in this area Friday, November 13, 1851. So our city was established on Friday the 13th. Not a good omen. Now, there were 2 reasons why the pioneers chose this site for a city. It's same reason everyone else would choose a site, pure economics. First of all, Elliott Bay is phenomenal. It's one of the deepest natural harbors on the planet. And by the way, it is an ocean port. The bay leads to Puget Sound. The sound going north eventually leads to the ocean. And it's also protected from the storms that come off the coast. Now, I don't know how long you've been in Seattle. I know if I'm local, but we're supposed to get a windstorm later tonight. So that you'll give you a good feel of what it's like in the winter here. We get storms that come right off the coast in the winter, high wind and rain, but those storms aren't quite as bad as they are on the coast. They're tempered by the Olympic Mountains on the west and by the fact that we're this far inland. So that's considered a deep, protected ocean port. But the real reason why the pioneers chose this site for a city to process the trees, they cut the trees down the top of the steep hills, skidded the trees down, they cut trees down the hills to the waterfront. That's where the sawmills were located. They were elevated on pilings, so that during high tide, you could pull your ship right next to a sawmill, load up with Seattle timber, exit the bay to the sun to the ocean. So the motivation to pick this site for a city, the bay and the trees. But then the pioneers who came from the Midwest made some big mistakes. They didn't know about tides. So when they first came here, the first instinct was to locate their shopping district right by the waterfront so they could offload ships. They didn't know about tide flats. So now I can give you a visual. Now I'm going to focus the story on one street. You just walked off of Cherry Street, came right down those stairs. This is Cherry Street before 1889, and this is Cherry Street later, 1889. So this is what Seattle looked like when it started. This is 1870s. The key to the photograph, the waterfront is just off the photo. So every single day during high tide, the tides would come in and turn those dirt streets into mud because they didn't know about tide flats. Now, when that first happened, the pioneers' response was, we can get over this, we can beat nature. So they decided to fill in the tide flats. Well, they're not the only town that did that. But most towns would use dirt for fill. Seattle used something else, turned out to be the big mistake. They used sawdust. It's probably the worst landfill they could possibly use on the tide flat. When sawdust gets wet, it decomposes. It turns mushy. So early Seattle, the shopping district was built on decomposing sawdust on top of tide flats, and every single day the tides that come in and turn streets into mud. So Seattle got off to a very rough start. Now this is Cherry Street before the Great Salem Fire. This is Cherry Street 2 months after the fire. So everything changed on June 6, 1889. Downtown Seattle burned to the ground in less than 12 hours. but he gave the city a chance to start over, correct their early mistakes, and build everything one level up. Now, the reason no one died from the fire, the homes are located higher on the hills above the fire. But it was a fast-moving fire. It was a glue fire that started in a woodworking shop. Glue at that time had to be melted, came in a brick, had to be melted in a glue pot. This was an overflowing glue pot in a woodworking shop that ignited the floor below. And the floor below was wood shavings and rags soaked with turpentine. Not to mention, every furniture at the time was combustible. Ammunition, gunpowder, TNT, whiskey, and paint. That fire got off to a great start. Got off to such a fast start, they couldn't stop it, so they let the fire burn all the wood structures below because it didn't touch the homes. No one died. Great chance to start over. So this is Cherry Street before the fire. This is 2 months after the Great Seattle Fire, second half of 1889. Look how fast Seattle's getting back to business. Most towns after a fire will be traumatized for weeks, if not months. I don't know how long you've been in Seattle so far, but if you haven't picked up on the vibe of this town yet, this town's all about making money rapidly. Thank you, Amazon. So the day after the fire, merchants had already set up tents so they could sell again. In some spots, the ground was still hot from the fire, so they had to flood surfaces to stand in the water so they wouldn't burn their feet. Before the fire, downtown was wood, so the law of the artist after the fire, brick and stone. And we can watch one of the buildings go up after the fire. We just walked through it. We believe this building that we just walked through was the first completed after the fire. It's called the Schwerman Building. 5 months after the fire was complete, and we can watch it go up in this photograph. This is the very same brick column. 5 months in this time, this building is already complete. Now it's not that scary. Now, this is when it became an issue, and you can tell this story in every town, big and small, around the planet. Civic projects always look great on paper until someone's got to pay for the project and follow through with it. That's what happened here. City had a great plan on paper, 10 years, 2 phases. First phase, push out the tides of seawalls to make this dry. Second phase, when this is dry, elevate the new streets and sidewalks above this. Show the plans to the merchants. Merchants said it looks great on paper, except for the timeline. We lost money because of the fire. We need to make money again, and we need to do it quickly. But don't get us wrong, roll for this project. Go ahead and follow through. But in the meantime, we own this property. So that means our buildings go up first. Our buildings go up fast, and our buildings go up at this level, even though you plan to raise everything above this. But we're going to make this work for both of us, so we have a compromise. Our compromise is when you go up, we'll go up. When you finally elevate the new streets and sidewalks, we know we'll have to abandon the first floor of this building. So we'll be ready to go to the second entrance on the second floor. All the entryways to the brick and stone buildings above started out as the second floor of the buildings. This started out as the first floor. So I know when you walked in, you thought basement or cellar. Looks like that, but it's not. Basements and cellars get dug out. This is not dug out. This is simply the abandoned first floor of the building when the city went higher. This might help. Let's walk into a time machine. So 5 months after the Great Seattle Fire, second half of 1889, this building is complete, but none of this was here yet. They hadn't started the project. So if you walk into a time machine, we would have been outside the building. If you look that way, you weren't looking at concrete, you were looking west at the waterfront, so it was called Front Street. If you looked up, you were looking at open air, cloudy skies. So we would have been outside of the building on a wood sidewalk, and inside there was a shoemaker shop. And that's where we have Lost Souls. Okay, that went well. We would have been inside, looking out the window to the sidewalk and the waterfront and open air above. So the whole point to make is they didn't dig this out. They willingly abandoned the first floor of the buildings because they had a second entrance ready to go. So this building started out without a basement. Now it looks like it has a basement. Call it artificial basement if you want. But they literally abandoned the first floor of the building, went up, and had that second entrance ready to go. And this would be a great time to tell the truth. We're not underground. We just use that word to lure people into our tour. The ground's below us. Between us and the tide flats we have decomposing sawdust. So that's why we call this tour Beneath the Streets, because we are beneath the streets. That's First Avenue. This is Cherry. So now that you're totally confused, I'll show you how they did this. Just a little bit, guys. All right, I'll do this part quickly, I promise. Timeline, buildings go up first. All the brick and stone buildings in Pioneer Square complete within a year after the fire, give or take 1890. Then the city pushed out the tides with seawalls to make this dry. After this was considered dry land, the next part of the project, elevate the streets above the tide flats. And the construction for the streets after the fire, very, very simple construction. It's more or less stacked boulders or stone walls. This stone wall is out of Cherry Street, and there's another stone wall like it on the other side. Now, the one thing I didn't emphasize enough when I started, the hills that are just east of here that you think are steep today were 3 times steeper. When the pioneers arrived, they were cliffs, 200-foot cliffs. So after the fire, this is pretty clear to everyone. We know our 2 problems. We build too low, cliffs are too high. We need fill to elevate this part of town. So the fill that elevates the neighborhoods below the cliffs came from the cliffs. Now you would think it would take a lot of labor and dynamite to knock down cliffs. It took very little labor and no dynamite because they copied a gold mining technique called hydraulic sluicing. They would fix steam-powered high-pressure hoses to the side of the cliffs and slowly erode the cliff sides. Then guide the dirt to this level through boxes that are called sluice boxes. They're about this wide, they're open air, and they channel or direct the dirt. Now, there was an early issue with the project, and it's based on the rainy season. If you just let the fill sit during the rainy season, it would eventually flatten out, tab down, or dissipate. They're just trying to keep that fill in place or intact, and this is where they got very clever. They fed the sluice boxes between the stone walls to elevate the new streets. And the stone walls for streets are called retaining walls because they keep the fill intact or in place. So the new street heights are anywhere from 8 to 35 feet high. They're about 8 to 10 feet at this level, but the underground goes east up the hills almost 5 blocks. Near the tops of the hills, walls can be as high as 35 feet. Project's almost done. Buildings are up, tides are out, cliffs are lower, streets are elevated above the tide flats. Almost done, but we're not. We're missing something, and it's important. The last step to the project. Any thoughts on what we're missing? I'm not going to make fun of your answers. Whatever you come up with will be valid. Yes?
Where did you get those pictures?
Well, the real photograph, the originals, come from the University of Washington. And then we just had a copy. And they're wet, and they're working. That's a good question. But you didn't answer my question. So I'll give you a hint. The last part of the project, well, first of all, it's based on the simplest form of human transportation. Sidewalk. Got it, see? Sidewalks. Sidewalks connect the streets. But the city didn't have money for new sidewalks. So that means the old sidewalks and the old storefronts are still down here, but the new streets are up there. But don't worry, Seattle always takes care of its people. They provide. So for shopping, the city provided ladders at the corners of the streets. So if you wanted to shop from the street above to the sidewalk below, you walk to the corner and you climb downstairs or ladder. Now, once you were down here, you were okay. You could still shop on the sidewalk in front of the shoemaker's shop. But if you wanted to shop across the street, you're not going through that wall, it's back to the corner, up the ladder, across the street, back down, and on the ladder. So I hope you see the issue here. There's a gap, building to my right, street to the left, no sidewalk above. Sidewalk now, but at that time they didn't have money for it. You were looking up at open air. So there was a gap and people died from this gap. For instance, if you're above the new street and you were texting and you got too close to the curb, you could fall anywhere from 8 to 35 feet to your death. Do you think they text back then? You're right, they didn't. Just trying to be funny, it didn't work. So, but you could fall anywhere from 8 to 35 feet to your death. Now, if you were down here, and you
It does smell weird down here.
kids could fall on top of you. A horse, what horses do, other people, barrels from trucks. The last one should get the point across. This part of town, Pioneer Square, there's a really suitcase. So this part of town, Pioneer Square, has always been the pub, bar, or saloon part of town. So people would come up to pubs, bars, and saloons about 3 or 4 in the morning, possibly impaired, and they would fall off the new streets, down the old sidewalks, into their deaths. By the way, here's a little known Seattle trivia fact. This is when AA started. AA started with a one-step program. Okay, that went quite as well as the shoes did. The point I'm trying to make is people actually died. I think 40 people died in a short period. That's when the merchants went back to the city and said, fix this, but make it quick and cheap, and the city delivered. With a quick, clever, and cheap solution, it's right above us. They made the sidewalks above into bridges. They bridged the gap from the buildings to the streets. Here's how they built the sidewalks. They ran iron I-beams 1.5 feet into the side of the buildings and the streets. That's the connector or the anchor. The support system for the sidewalks, pretty obvious, arches. No, I've done this for a while, and up until about 2 weeks ago, I identified these as Roman arches, until I took a private tour of 30 architects down here, and I was attacked. When I said Roman arches, I was attacked by 30 architects. We made this very clear. These are vaulted barrel arches, whatever they were. They're made to equally distribute weight and hold 4 times their weight. They covered the arches. Those became the brand new sidewalks, which are now bridges. They bridge the gap from the buildings to the streets. But why are the tunnels? We should be able to do this. These tunnels aren't supposed to be here by plan. The original plan on paper was to fill this in. Like every civic project in human history, they ran out of money. But they had already fixed the problem, sidewalks as bridges, so the city decided, we'll get to it, we'll fill this in. And when it came time to fill in, they backed off, for good reason. Today, the tunnels are used by the city to lay pipes and utilities, but the original plan was to fill this in. So once again, we're not underground, ground's below us, sawdust on tie flats, we're beneath the streets, but what people in Seattle refer to as the underground would be 20 square blocks of hollow sidewalks or tunnels that run throughout Pioneer Square. Does that make sense, guys? So they didn't do it. That's the whole point to make. They did not take these tunnels out. They went up, abandoned the first floor, never got around to filling in the tunnels. And today we have what we call the underground. By the way, for Canada, I'm sure you've been to Vancouver before. Gastown is just like Pioneer Square. They had the same story, built too low, had a fire, went higher, and the sidewalks in the gas center are all hollow. So it's kind of the same story. So questions, guys? Anything else? All right, now the reason we have to go outside till the next section, and we can't keep walking through tunnels, one of the unintended consequences of not filling in, the walls became barriers. There's streets. That's First Avenue, Cherry Street. When you hit a wall, you want to go to a different section, it's up across and back down. Honeycombs, waffle pattern, the grid pattern for tunnels are not anything. So our next stop will be a working nightclub. It's called the Comedy Underground. The main part of the club is inside, but they've extended part of the nightclub underneath the sidewalk. Next door is a lounge. We'll go to that section, and then above, there'll be 3 skylights with prisms below, and you can see the daylight come through. All right, guys, let's go.
Heading back upstairs now. All right. Heading outside. This anti-underground right here. Going upstairs. What's going on here? I'd like to think that we're going to go a little bit further. Bear with me. Back out on the streets. Oh yeah, welcome to Seattle, everybody. Hold on. Lovely Seattle. We're here on First and Cherry.
Even a city has toll access to go down there, and then at some point, they want to go to different stuff that go up across the and the way to go
Where are the Gothic cathedrals?
So we're actually paying building for this. Yeah.
All right, there's more tour. Hold on. But there's another tour going on over here.
As a show of strength, fired howitzer cannons over the hillsides of Seattle.
This place is weird. I hate big cities. Dude, go. Oh look, it's a not so dark alley.
So that dates in the 1950s. That was the biggest fear. That a major earthquake, that whole thing would just come, the top part would come right in the bottom part. So that'll be we're in Tarrytown. It's about 4 miles to Tarrytown, but it shuts down by the 60th part. It's the last, that'll be all gone. Next year at this time, that'll be gone.
Into the alley. Obviously. All right. This is said on mud flooding. Not quite. Not quite. But you can tell that some of these buildings were or do have you know, little basement areas that they're built on top of other structures. Like obviously something was going on down here.
So Pilot Square actually becomes more than neighborhood. So this is Occidental Square. The next square to the right is Occidental. And then that's called Hunter. But it really is. So this is our next stop. We're going to walk underneath this sidewalk. It's an extension of the nightclub. And these are skylights. Now look at the glass today. It almost looks like stone at this point. You're going to be very surprised how much light still comes through. And right below they have prisms to refract the daylight as it comes through. So this is our next stop, the Comedy Underground.
Right. I'm trying to follow close to the tour guide. Not sure if I should be in the front or the back. I don't want to get too many people in the shot that might not want to be on. You know what I mean?
All right, guys, we're going to meet at
Whoa.
the bottom of the stairs.
Whoa. All right. Got the bar over here. Careful, head down. Stop. At the Underground Comedy Club. I think I've been here before, actually. Yeah, I came here once, a long time ago.
You know what's underground? That's outside here.
No, there's Underground next to it.
Right, actually, well, yeah. It was maybe about 15 years ago. A long, long time ago.
I'll explain that. All right, guys, this way.
All right, so we're. I want to shoot some pool, actually. What's going on in here? All right, let's go. This place is crazy.
Now, before I talk about the skylights, so this is how the tour works. The tunnels are owned by the city, but the building owners next to the tunnels do have rights. They're called easement rights. So as a building owner, if you extend the lower part of your building underneath the sidewalk next to it, the city considers that your property. But if you have a business below and you extend the business underneath the sidewalk next to it, the city considers it their property. They want their cuts. You have to get permission and pay a business fee or business tax. So the way we get to these tunnels, we do pay 3 different building owners to go through the property, to pay the club, for instance, certain fee to walk through their club during the day when it's closed, to gain access to the tunnel next to it. We do the same thing on the first section. In that spot, we share the rent for that building with the ghost tour that runs at night, 2 different companies. So that's how we get to these tunnels. And what was I going to say? One of the coolest uses of the underground today, in my opinion, and you'll like this, this will be payback to your parents for taking on the history tour. But the coolest use of the underground today is a toy store that's been in this neighborhood now for about 40 years called Magic Mouse Toys. It's only a couple blocks away. They have 2 levels. So they got permission from the city to extend the lower level of the store right underneath the sidewalk that goes next to it. So if you go there at the end of the tour, go down below, then go to the section where they sell jigsaw puzzles. If you look up, you'll see one of these skylights. So there are some businesses that use the tunnels today. Now the skylights were put in when the project was complete. The last part of the project, the sidewalks above it. It kind of kept things up. They abandoned the first floor of the buildings at that point, but they used the tunnels for shopping, kind of like a farmer's market. So they would just stack their goods throughout the tunnels. They had to build stairs to get down here, and then for lighting, they brought in skylights. So at one time, these skylights ran all the way down the sidewalks in Pioneer Square. Today, unfortunately, most of the skylights are cemented over because they're not safe to walk on. These are considered unique skylights. They're unique because of the prisms. They were added to refract the lights come through. Now, the informal shopping worked on until 1907, but in 1907, the city discovered bubonic plague down here. Bubonic plague is a rat-borne disease. Fleas and the rats carry the plague. So the rats would come right off the ships, ports right below us. Rats would come off the ships, run through the tunnels, and spread the plague. The city panicked. They shut the tunnels down immediately, condemned the underground. And
Thanks,
then
Hooligan.
contained the plague. For instance, the original sidewalk right in front of this building was wood. Wood breeds bacteria, so building owners put concrete over the wood sidewalks to contain the plague. Then the city tried to eliminate the rat population with a bounty on rats or an offer to the people of Seattle. And the offer was, if you bring us a rat tail, we'll give you 10 cents for every rat tail you bring us. May not be much today, but back then 10 cents was worth your effort. But they had to stop that program too early because kids in Seattle were too smart and they started to breed rats. Anything for a buck in Seattle. So the tunnel stayed condemned, but the plague went away fast. Only 7 people died. The city decided to condemn the tunnels for quite a while longer. They could hide things. Think about it. It was a great place to hide anything the city didn't want to mix it. Hiding in Elliott Bay at night, so they could offload their illegal liquor, whiskey in barrels, then hide the barrels of whiskey throughout the tunnels, also hiding illegal bars called speakeasies. So the tunnels were a great place to hide things. A certain generation of young satellites were the equivalent of a rave. So young teenagers could party down here, and the police were okay with that. Keep it off the streets, do whatever you want down below, worked out above. But the turning point for the neighborhood, when this all changed, 1960s, developers wanted to tear all this down and then replace buildings like this with modern buildings. That's when the historians and the architects, yes.
But do they still, what if they don't use an item anymore?
Because they don't do enough business. Yeah, I mean, comedy clubs, the club itself is for comedy, like stand-up comedians, and they don't get enough people now. If they get enough people for the club, they'll open this up. But it's been a while. It's been a really long time. So right now, we're the only ones that come through and they like us because we give them some money to use their tunnel. So the turning point for the neighborhood, 60s, when the developers wanted to tear this down. So the historians and architects said, well, no, you're not going to tear this down. It's our history. You can't tear these buildings down. So they lobbied for a very important federal law. It's called the Historic Preservation Act. In Canada, it's called the Heritage Act. That act states if you have a building with any sort of historic significance, you better have a valid safety reason to tear it down. If you don't, the building stays up, you have to maintain it, and to make any changes to the outside. They have to be approved by the Historic Preservation Board. They want to keep the building looking the way it looked in the 1800s. So before 1970, this is the worst neighborhood in town. But after 1970, and the establishment of the Historic Preservation Act, this became one of the largest protected historic districts in the United States. That's when the city took the condemned status out of the tunnels, pushed everything back to the surface. Building owners took care of their property. And as I said, in some cases, you could extend your business underneath the sidewalk next to it. So when we first walked in the alley, you saw Merchants Cafe. They have a party room that goes underneath the sidewalk next to it. The nightclub in some cases, and then Magic Mike stores. Well, now I'll show you guys the main part of the nightclub, the stage area. Hold it. The light switch for the next group. Sorry. This way, guys. Let's go to the nightclub.
Going to the club. All right. What's going on down this hallway? Oh, that's crazy. Okay. Gotta stay with the tour. All right, yeah, I'll try to get closer so we can hear the tour guide. Yeah.
This is one of the oldest nightclubs in Seattle. It's been in this neighborhood for decades. It's a combination of a nightclub and a sports bar. Now, as far as the comedy goes, before the game on Sunday morning, and then outside the square is a gathering spot for soccer fans. Our soccer team is the Sounders, the Major League Soccer. Kind of a cool experience, actually. The stadium's 3 blocks away. So 2 hours before a match, the fans gather outside the square. The Sounders put up a stage with their own band. They play for a while, and then eventually the band will lead the fans with their scarves on, chanting all the way to the stadium. They call it March to the Match. It's actually pretty cool. So this is a combination of a well-established nightclub and a sports bar. It's also your photo op as a stand-up. You guys want to go on stage for photos? It's all yours. Go for it. Feel free.
Yeah, you want to throw it on the bank? Let me see. No? You're okay with it? Okay.
That's for your waiter.
I'll just
They turn that on just to get the
grab one real quick. All right, we'll just act like this is a photo op for me. I'm just gonna chill here on the stage. What's up? All right. Boom. Good. Stay flat. You know what it is. Okay. Do this thing.
So we leave and go to the bottom and left. All those photos, these are comedians that have played the club over there. Some really big names. Matter of fact, all of the dad
Okay, I gotta get you. Hold on.
when she was really young, she got balls and stuff like that. Yeah, Bill Maher, Seinfeld played for us at one point. Since he's doing the wall, I'm going to run down this wall. Come over, guys. So every one of this wall is famous, and they have a connection to Washington State. Either born in the state or spent time here. Batman. That's the original Batman TV series. The actor's name was Adam West, about a year and a half ago. But Adam West grew up in Walla, Washington. The original Star Trek, that's Scotty. The actor's name was James Doohan, born in Canada, ended up in Redmond, Washington. Bruce Lee was born in San Francisco, but he met his wife Linda at the University of Washington, spent the rest of his life here, and Bruce Lee is buried with his son Brandon in Lakeview Cemetery in our Capitol Hill neighborhood. Now, the city had 3 founding fathers. I talked about the first one, Denny, who led the first pioneers here. But after Denny, the next founding father came from Cleveland. He was a doctor and a lawyer. His name was David Maynard, or Doc Maynard. Watched Cleveland go into a major city, came west with ideas. One of his best ideas was to make a land deal to bring a sawmill here, a steam-powered sawmill, high-tech back then. He made a land deal with our third final founding father. He came from Massillon, Ohio. His name was Henry Essler, above his wife Sarah. So we had the plans and the makings for a steam-powered sawmill. Wanted to locate that somewhere in the Northwest. Wanted a land deal, though. So Doc made him the perfect land deal. Doc Maynard offered Henry Essler free land at the bottom of the steepest hill in town on the waterfront, nicknamed Skid Row. When he made that land deal, the mill came to Seattle. Seattle became the #1 town in Puget Sound. Now, a certain generation of Seattleites grew up with a very popular kid show on TV. The kid show had a clown. The clown's name was J.P. Petches, his assistant Gertrude. Right above Chief Seattle Popular band from the 80s, still rocking, two sisters, Ann and Nancy Wilson of the band Heart. They grew up in our Capitol Hill neighborhood. Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix grew up in a suburb of Salem called Renton, and that's where he's buried. But I don't think you know this about Jimmy. Jimmy didn't start in rock bands. One of my favorite Salem neighborhoods is only 3 blocks away. It's called the International District. The main street in that neighborhood is Jackson Street. In the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s, Jackson Street was considered the top jazz street in America. All the jazz greats played in the clubs on that stretch. Jimmy started his career by playing in blues bands and clubs on Jackson Street. Kurt Cobain grew up in Aberdeen, Washington, committed suicide in a mansion on Lake Washington in 1994. And both Kurt and Jimmy are part of an infamous club, the 27 Club, rock stars that died at the age of 27. Another big name from the music world as a writer and a producer, Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones was born in Chicago, but his family moved when he was very young. Quincy Jones went to Garfield High School. Jimmy also went to Garfield. Today, Garfield High School is one of the best high school jazz bands in America, thanks to the money that Quincy Jones gives to his alma mater. On the end, the oldest and the most popular seafood restaurant in town, started by a Scandinavian gentleman named Ivar Hagelin, Ivar's Acres of Clams. And his advertising line was, instead of keep calm, keep clam. He also started Seattle's first official aquarium on the waterfront. But the thing about his aquarium was, if you went there a second time, fish are always different. Okay, no one got that. That's okay. Thank you.
Who's that? I gotta hurry. Being left behind. All right, we're heading back upstairs. Hope everybody's having a good time. Interesting stuff, but Underground Comedy Club, pretty cool. Back out to the city. Oh man, check out this bar. Oh, sorry. You're like waiting on me.
Usually, open mic, usually 7:30, something like that. Now, your ticket stub gets you 3 discounts. For adults, discount from the nightclub. The second discount is for that beautiful tower. It's called the Smith Tower, historic building from 1914. Below the pyramid, they have an observation deck. So to get to the observation deck, you pay to take an Otis elevator ride with a hand attendant, and the new owner put a lodge up there. So if I show your ticket stub for the observation deck, you get a discount. And then right next to the toy store is one of the better souvenir shops in Salem called Simply Salem, and show them our ticket stub and you will get a discount. All right, one last underground stop to go. So this way.
Right. More trekking through the city. Yes, Randy, you're correct. Camera shot, I believe, though. But anyway. Oh, man. Here, check out this building, guys. Look at this. Look at all that. All the shrubbery that's growing on the side of this. That'd be cool if that were edibles, right? Oh, that's fun. Oh man. Oh, we're playing ping pong. Got a ping pong game. Alright. Got lights in the trees and all. The London plane. What does that mean? Got hit in the head by this big drop of water in that first stop. We got one more spot to go. Yeah, we got one more spot to go, and we're heading down these stairs right here. Just got over the cage. Spooky. Okay. Flipping it, but. Yeah.
Well, that was in the first one.
Yeah, what was this one?
Oh, just water. Just water.
Nice.
Please drink on my head.
Alright, guys, leave the door and I'll let you do this first. Alright, guys, why don't you go through first and we'll hand you.
Whoa. Cool.
Why don't we go to the next one? There's a little bit more light, better photos, guys. So this is what hydraulic sluicing looks like. It's a process they use to reshape the cliffs. Very smart process. Whoever came up with this was very clever. And when one negative, you have to go slow in the winter because of the rainy season. If you try to roll a cliffside too fast, it'll slide. So it took about 20 years to reshape the cliffs. One of the ironies of the Great Sale of Fire was, after the fire, the homeowners on the cliffs thought, this is great. Our home survived the Great Sale of Fire. Might have survived the fire, but didn't survive the process. To knock down the cliffs, you had to get rid of the homes first. The city tried to buy a property at a fair price. That didn't work though. The last step for the city was to carve out your house till it fell. That homeowner should have taken that first offer. If you ever saw the movie Up, that house needs balloons. When they were done, instead of cliffs, they ended up with 7 hills above downtown. Today, all 7 hills are neighborhoods. I'm sure you've heard of some of these neighborhoods. For instance, Capitol Hill, Queen Anne Hill, Beacon Hill, First Hill. The process to shape those hills, they were called regrades. There's a famous regrade photo. A lot of people in Seattle have seen this. Now the area today is by the north end of downtown with the Amazon campus. It's called the Denny Regrade. Denny Regrade photo shows how much earth they moved during this process, more earth than the building of the Panama Canal. Now Seattle has a well-earned reputation as a money-making town, and that was gained by one event in its early history, an event that didn't take place here. It took place in Canada. We definitely have a symbiotic relationship with Canada. It was the most famous gold rush in North American history, the 1896 Klondike Gold Rush in the Canadian territories. Here's the Seattle connection. Now, Canada very early on realized that miners, so-called gold miners going to the Klondike, didn't know about the Klondike, which is an incredibly harsh environment, easy to die. So they came up with a law called the Ones of Miners from the United States went to the Klondike, and each miner had to buy a ton worth of supplies. Awful lot of money to be made. Every town wanted that business. But most of that business came through Seattle, roughly 70% of that business, because of just one person. He was formerly from the East Coast, Harvard educated, a former newspaperman, an ad man, and a newspaperman from New York and Boston. His name was Erastus Brainerd, a bright man, bright enough not to go to the Klondike. Instead, he stayed back with an idea to make Seattle a lot of money. Through his newspaper contacts back east, he spread the word throughout the eastern cities. If you're on the way to the Klondike, be aware of the fact when you reach a border, they will make you prove a ton worth of supplies, but don't panic. Got the perfect place to buy those supplies, everything you'll need, one-stop shopping in the city of Seattle. When the merchants heard about this, they also jumped into action with their own plan. Their plan was through profiteering to rip off the gold miners as much as they possibly could. There was a term for it. It was called mining the miners, which is still our tourism motto in Seattle today. So instead of buying individual goods for the Klondike, you were sold packages. They were called Klondike packages. Everything you would need for you in the Klondike. Truth is, maybe half the package was useful. Maybe more than half the package. The other half, or the other portion, not really. Give an example. One of those packages included gold sniffing gophers. In case you're wondering, they didn't work. Now, here are the numbers. The numbers will get the point across. The money made citywide among merchants in Seattle the year before the Klondike, $300,000. But once the Klondike holders started, that number shot up to 25 million in less than 8 months just by outfitting gold miners. And then Seattle got the miners coming and going. On your way back home, you stopped in Seattle first because Seattle had the only assay office in the Northwest. An assay office is where you have to go analyze, measure the weight for cash value. So on your way home, you stop in Seattle. I assume you're rich, you want to spend some of your money and have a good time. Pioneer Square was a good time. At that time, it was considered the most notorious red light district in the United States. I never heard of saloons or bars, taverns, brothels, theaters called box house theaters, which could be vaudeville, burlesque, dance hall girls, or other forms of adult entertainment. And the mayor still loved the tunnels. The mayor could claim that noise above, that's people on the way to church. That activity was kept off the streets, swept underneath the rug through these tunnels, and the police were paid very well to ignore all of this. Now, I don't often do this, but I'm going to do it today to honor someone that's really, if you had to pick the quintessential Northwest person, it'd be this person. He died last week. You all know Nordstrom's, I assume. Now, John Nordstrom, who started the empire, was a Swedish immigrant, arrived in New York at first, very ambitious, traveled a lot, at some point found his way to logging camps in Washington State when they found gold in the Klondike, one of their sacred claim. But he realized he probably wouldn't make much money off of the claim, so he sold his claim for $30,000, a lot of money back then. He used part of that money to pay off debt. The other part he used to stake the first Nordstrom shoe store with a man named Wall Lane. So the money for the first Nordstrom came by him selling his claim in the Klondike, and his great-grandson, fourth generation Nordstrom, his name was Blake Nordstrom, died this week, very young, 58, cancer. But the Nordstroms are a big part of Seattle history, very cool company, take care of their people. Customer service is they're known for that, and one of the fourth generation Nordstroms died this week. All right, guys.
Check out how this house is up on this hill. There's all this mud under it. We're using the hoses to clear them out. Crazy. All right, they left us. We gotta go. There we go.
These are two photographs of downtown Seattle before the fire. Both photographs have a common building, the building on the hill, same building in this photo. It was the very first site of the University of Washington. Building's long gone. The site is downtown. It's on 4th and University. On that site today is a large luxury hotel called the Fairmont Olympic. I have a tying story to the building. When the pioneers first arrived in the 1850s, the ratio of men to women was 10-1. So one of our early prominent male citizens, by the name of Asa Mercer. Well, Asa had an issue with that ratio, so Asa came up with a great idea. Asa Mercer went on 2 different recruiting trips back east to recruit Civil War widows to come back here to marry the local men. All but one of the women on those 2 trips didn't get married. She claims she never intended to get married. She only wanted the free trip to the Northwest. They were nicknamed the Mercer Girls. The Mercer Girls turned out to be the inspiration, not only for a TV series, but also a movie. The TV series in the 60s and the early 70s, Here Come the Brides. The movie, 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, both based on true Seattle history. Here's a tie-in to the building. The male citizens of Seattle were so pleased by Asa's efforts on their behalf, they decided to make Asa Mercer the first president of the University of Washington. Don't be too impressed, there was only 1 student in the first graduating class. The one woman that didn't get married. Now, Asa wanted to make that into a legitimate university, so that meant he needed state money. Every time the state inspector would come by to make it look legitimate, Asa would hire loggers to sit in the desk. Well, there is a minor equivalent to that. That's called a football scholarship. All right, last photo I'll show you, I promise. This is also before the fire, but it's high tide. This is a waterfront today. But during extreme high tide, the tides could come in or come up to where we're standing right now. But today the tides are kept up at a 1 one seawall on the waterfront. Tide flats have been reclaimed with fill. The view is from Beacon Hill. The same view from Beacon Hill today at Bear Stadiums. CenturyLink fill from the Seahawks and the Sounders. Next to it, at least for now, it'll change soon. Instead of Safeco field for the Mariners, it'll be T-Mobile Park. Now, if we were in this photograph, we'd be standing somewhere in this area. Today, the neighborhood to the left or south is called Soto. Soto used to mean south of the Kingdom, our first stadium. The Kingdom was imploded in 2000 to make way for our current stadiums. Today, it just means south downtown. It's our industrial neighborhood. It's also the home of Starbucks Worldwide Corporate Headquarters. The Portishead is to the left. Now, when I started the tour, I made it sound like the first landing spot for the pioneer group, the Denny Party, was Elliott Bay. That's not true. The first landing spot was 4 miles south on a very exposed beach. Today, the beach is called Elcott. It's on the other side of this point. Last November, that's when the storms come off the coast. Every time the pioneers put up structures, they blew right down. 3 months later, the pioneers relocated to a more sheltered harbor, Elliott Bay. So the true founding day of the city should be February 15th, 1852, when most of the pioneers relocated to Elliott Bay. When the Denny's were on the Oregon Trail, along the way they picked up 2 travelers from New York. They were brothers. Their last name was Terry. When they first arrived at that beach in November, one of the Terry brothers went up to Arthur Denny and said, "Congratulations, you have your brand new town, but you don't have a name for your town. Here's the thought, why don't you call it New York? Worked once, so let's try it out west." So the first settlement is not called Seattle, it's called New York. When the Native Americans heard about this, they thought it was funny. So they attached something to New York in their language. In their language, it's supposed to be pronounced Elkie. Everyone here says Elkai. Elkai or Elkie in Lashutsi means by and by, New York, by and by. They're making fun of the pioneers. Most of the pioneers did relocate to Elliott Bay, but for a while, when the Terry brothers stayed at New York Elkai, and there were 2 competing settlements, New York Elkai against Seattle. But eventually, Seattle incorporated New York Elkai into the city as a whole. Today, it's West Seattle. You go to that beach in the summer, when it's nice out, it's just like Southern California. Although you'll notice snow is in the water, huge sound is deep, cold, and hypothermic. And today, there's a park right by the beach. In the park, there's a smaller version of the Statue of Liberty, because the first settlement was called New York Elkai.
Interesting.
Well, before I wrap things up, questions, guys? Anything at all? Anything that makes sense along the way? Anything curious about? Anything about the city itself? Good. What's questions? Any questions? Well, before I end the tour, I have a favor to ask. I think it was 9 months ago, we celebrated the 6th anniversary of our tour. Now, I realize for a history tour, that's not very long, but we factor in the tour was started by and still owned by former tour guides from Bill Spadell's Underground Tour. It's a different story. That tour started in 1965. We were the veteran tour guides from that tour. I was there for about 17 years. Some of the guys were there for almost 20 years. And I want to make this clear. We didn't break away from that company on a spite. As a matter of fact, it's a testament to their popularity and success. They're so big at this point, they can have and often do have 50 in a group. All we wanted to do was offer an alternative, smaller groups. Some people want that or like it. Smaller groups means more interaction. So we cap our tours at 20 to 25. Their tour guides are scripted, based off a book written by their founder, a journalist named Bill Spadell. Nothing wrong with Bill's approach to history, but they have to stick to that script. We don't. We have a lot of freedom as tour guides. So every guide in our company has a different take on the same history. So if you took someone else's tour, you had a different take, different approach. Not as good as mine, but different. And because we have smaller groups, we have time for questions and answers. But the one thing our small company doesn't have, an advertising budget. The way we do advertise, through online reviews. So you can do us a favor, if you like the tour, give us some love online, go to your favorite source, Yelp, TripAdvisor, or Facebook, give us a positive review. Once again, my name is Dave, and the tour is Beneath the Streets. If you didn't like the tour, stay offline. Now, I'm going to lead the way outside. By the gate, there'll be a mini tourist bureau. If you have questions or you need recommendations for restaurants or things to do, I can help you out. Well, I hope you enjoy the tour. Also, hope you enjoy the rest of your stay in our city and have a great day. Thanks a lot, everyone.
Any questions? Hey Dave, about how long ago did this become underground?
I think they
These are
capped it
like,
off
this is how even people will do it in
probably in
architecture
1920s.
firm, and then they'll make it
I think the
nicer
underground
after
came into
that.
being. Actually, it was probably before that. So the early 1900s. So the last step was the sidewalks that kind of bridged the gap, and that's when he capped it off, and that's when they officially had underground.
All right, so the official story is that there were what was that? Tides that came in that
Thank you.
pretty much
That's how guys stick
turned in the mud there.
Yeah, the tides before the fire could come up to where we're standing and even further up. So the original city was built low on tide floods, and the tides came in and floated this almost everywhere. So the started with 7 seawalls, now there's 1 on the waterfront, keeps the tides out, and then they elevated above the tide flats with fill, which is between the stone walls for streets.
All right. I'm gonna check the chat. If there's any other questions, anybody? Say thanks to Dave, folks.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
All right, let me see. I'll follow him around for a minute if I can get any more questions. Anybody? What's up?
We were trying to mention very quick.
Speakeasy, I believe that was the kind of underground bars that they had there. That was Dave, my tour guide. Yeah, any questions for Dave while we're still here? Anything concerning mud floods and all that? Resets, whatnot? Is he related to Super Dave? I have no idea. Let me see. Oh, shoot. Let me see. What time is it? I gotta check the time before I get a parking fine. I gotta get back to the van in 13 minutes. Got it for 320. Does he like to be called David? Are there more tunnels? Okay.
If you want to
It's 307, cool.
strictly seafood, but specializes in that. We have a celebrity chef that's in his 20s. He owns several restaurants, and his signature restaurant is on the north end of downtown, on 5th.
All right, yeah.
It's called Alice.
I could ask him if there's any
I
more.
saw that. It's near our hotel because there's
Yeah.
the Warwick.
Yeah,
Any
you're right
more?
there. Yeah, literally right there.
I mean, what's the last
Outside,
month? I have no idea.
And it's reasonable.
We didn't even talk about one.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was that?
But,
Randy?
He's the best.
Yeah, I'll do a stream with you and Martin. That'd be cool. I probably wouldn't bring a whole lot, but yeah, I can hang out, no problem.
Wonderful. This is a pleasure. Thank you, Dave.
Oh, we have one more question. To hit the toy store.
Yeah, just take it right on first.
I'm like, where the heck are we? I'm gonna have to turn this thing off.
Right, that place next to the souvenir place where the souvenirs have souvenirs.
I'm not wearing my glasses.
That's like us. Thank you.
All right. Gee, are there any more underground tunnels around here?
Yeah, the whole neighborhood. Like, yeah, as far as access, through the 2 tours,
Mhm.
or if you go to a business,
Okay.
or if you know a building on it.
Right.
The city has complete access, but it's about 20 square block, and part of it actually goes into Chinatown.
Oh wow.
Those tunnels are cool. We'd love to see them because that's during the Klondike era, and this is the red light district. It extended into that neighborhood, and some of their tunnels, abandoned tunnels, still have remnants of opium dens and gambling dens.
Oh okay.
So a lot of that was pushed right into that.
Yeah. That's
So
what
that's pretty cool.
some folks in the chat were saying something about opium dens and all that.
Possible you could access. There's a really cool museum up there on King Street called the Wing Luke Museum.
Okay.
They may have access to some of that, so you might want to check out for that museum.
Okay.
That'd be the best way.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of part of a research community on YouTube, and one of the things we're looking into is kind of like underground cities. There was a situation where a lot of evidence is coming out that there were mud floods back in the past, like 200 or so years ago. These lots of evidence of buildings that are kind of submerged halfway underground and all that, but like way far away from the coast too.
Right.
So, we're looking into that stuff. I was just taking my people on a tour. Just to,
Well, the
check
mud
some
flows
things
could have come from volcanoes. The biggest fear of Rainier going off is not so much lava; it's actually the mud flows.
Ah.
They're called lahars.
out. Right.
And Mount St. Helens in the 80s, it came into the rivers. All that mud comes right off the side of the volcano and goes right into the rivers. So that might have been where the mud flows came from.
I mean, this stuff happened like all over Europe, in China, like all across the U.S. There's a lot of different places where this is, I don't know, it's something like some sort of worldwide cataclysm
Oh, wow.
that took place, and there's a lot of evidence coming up that a lot of history was kind of covered by
Buried in
people
mud.
and mud. Yeah,
And mud's a good preservative.
Yeah.
Preserve stuff.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
like Vesuvius.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, their bodies are preserved because they're kind of encased in mud.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah, there's a lot
Well, if
going
you're
on.
looking for two other undergrounds, Portland has a really cool underground. There's Shanghai tunnels.
Portland.
So in the
Shanghai tunnel.
1800s, the way they crewed ships, you'd be in a bar or saloon.
Mhm.
They would drug your drink, and then you would go down and shoot. And when you woke up from the drug, you were on a ship out to sea, and you had to work your way off the ship. That's how they crewed ships. They're called Shanghai tunnels.
Oh wow.
So that's in Portland. And then in Pendleton, Oregon, part of the history of the West is the infrastructure of the West is built by Chinese labor, but it's kind of slave labor.
Hmm.
So the rule was a lot of towns in the West, the Chinese could work above ground during the day, and at night they had to be off the street. So in Pendleton, they built their own underground city.
Oh wait,
They have
are,
tours
are,
of
are
it.
you heading back to where we got started?
Yeah, I am,
Yeah,
actually,
okay, yeah, we can walk and talk. I gotta follow
I'm
you.
just gonna get the
Okay, yeah. Cool. So we're gonna continue hanging out with Dave. Post any questions if you got them. I'll let me see. I'd like to ask Dave how he came to be an underground poor person, exposing the filthy Jews news. It's awesome. Yeah, Dave's pretty cool. He's pretty cool. Yeah, we're gonna take a walk back and see what's up. Mud floods in this area caused by earthquakes. All right. So let me see. So the Chinese were underground. So it told me I have 700,000 live viewers. Yeah. Here, have you heard about the Empire of Tartaria?
I haven't.
Have not. Well, that's a lot of there's a lot going on. There's an empire that spread across most of the earth. The name of it was Tartary. It was like a massive kingdom, basically. I mean, it was spread out into different districts. They had access to free technology and all that. It was pretty complex. A lot of people were getting into looking into research concerning Tartaria, but something to look into. It ties into the whole underground civilization aspect of things. But let me see.
Well, people are suckers for undergrounds. It's just one of those words in the human psyche.
Yeah.
When you say underground, it's just like, wow, what's going on underground? I mean, and it can be anything.
Right.
It could be underground activities, crime.
Yeah.
People
Anything.
live underground. There's a really cool, I found this on the Weather Channel about a year ago. They have a video, a little tape, and there's a town in Australia, a mining town where it's so hot above ground that people in the town have to live underground.
Oh wow.
And people in Australia have taken a turn and said, oh yeah, I mean this town is just like, it's so hot you can't live above ground, so they all live underground.
And that's going on like right now.
Right now.
Yeah.
It's a former mining town.
Oh, you gotta ask somebody from Australia. There might be somebody in the chat right now in Australia.
Yeah.
Who can tell me about that. That's craziness. Well, hey, thanks for taking the tour. Being so accommodating with the streaming and all that.
No problem. I mean, you're doing us a favor. I mean, it's like advertising for us.
Okay.
We're small, so the more people that take the tour and kind of spread the word, it actually works out for us. So thank you. For doing us a favor.
No problem. I was trying to get some people out here, man.
Well, it's that time of the year. It's kind of bad time.
Yeah. It's all good.
They come back, send them over.
Oh yeah.
So you're in Tacoma, right?
Yeah, I'm from Tacoma. I was kind of putting it out there to folks on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, just letting them know, when I was going to be here hanging out. I'm like, meet me up here. We can go hang out afterwards, get some pizza or something. I'm out here by myself, people. What's going on? Nobody want to hang out with me? That's cold-blooded.
Okay, was going to watch the Seahawks. So that's how they
Oh, right. Seahawks are playing today. Play the Cowboys, right?
up at 5. So it's probably why they didn't come down.
Fun stuff. Yeah, man. It's fun. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. This is good stuff. We're hanging out in the city. I don't do that much at all. How long you been doing the tour?
Well, I worked there for about 17, and March will be my 4th year here. And like I said, we broke off from them 6 years ago. We were the guys who worked there the longest, and we thought we could do it better.
No, well, yeah. Obviously.
And smaller groups.
Yeah.
That's the key. They can have 50.
Right,
It's
right.
a different experience.
Yeah. Because being able to interact more with the audience, that's pretty important. I'll bet the people appreciate that more.
Oh, they totally do. When we get reviews online, it's always, we like the small groups. We like the fact we can talk to the guy and ask questions.
Yep.
Seattle Beer Brand right here.
But some people want the big show. They want 50, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done this since '65, and they got a worldwide following. So
All right, this is we're like walking on, these are the lights, the skylights for underground. So there's tunnels underground right now.
you can see how they've been covered over the years.
Yeah. Okay. And so all that, so that back there, that's the skylights that we saw earlier. Just like the skylights here. Seattle's from there. Interesting. All right. So yeah, you see my vehicle over there. Thanks for walking me back, man. All right, cool. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
All right, everybody, say goodnight.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Take care.
All right, thanks, Dave. Cool. So yeah, heading back to the Flatmobile, and I guess that's going to conclude the tour of the underground. Man, there's a lot going on here. See, look, more of that stuff, man. There's all kinds of underground activity here. Need to get with some of these mud flood researchers. There was some kind of scavenger hunt out here in Seattle, man. Just taking some pictures, showing some of these buildings. There's definitely a lot of history that's being hidden around here. You see just these odd things like these bricks here attached to the concrete. Like, what's going on here? But yeah, I'm thinking most of the city's like underground. Interesting stuff. Super interesting stuff. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this is Seattle, folks. Having a good old time. I'm not sure I displayed my parking stub properly, but here we are. Back at the Flatmobile. Need to go get the word on the Seahawks. See what's going on there. Now, I had posted something on Facebook yesterday that kind of upset some people, but it's all good. But yeah, folks, I'm going to go ahead and cut this one short. Get on the road back to Tacoma. Grab me something to eat and get on with my evening. I'm working on a video that's going to get me into some trouble. I'll get to working on that first thing in the morning. I got my words and my script down. I need to get some video, get some pictures and all that, but it's gonna be pretty cool video. It's gonna be about one of these major fast food chains. It's gonna be some information about one of those things. So I'm gonna be getting myself into some trouble with those things, and some people are gonna be upset about that. I can tell you that. But anyway, appreciate it. Shout out to Tacoma Hooligan. Appreciate you, man. Sucks that you couldn't make it out. Man, look, there's more stuff down here. There's some sort of Seattle mystery bookshop. And then hold on, let me show you this. While I'm here. All right, there's the van. And then on down here, there's more stuff underground at the Seattle Mystery Bookshop. Wild, wild stuff. There was definitely some stuff going on out here, folks. Definitely some stuff going on out here. But you know, you never can tell as far as this official narrative goes. So at any rate, go ahead and get out of here. All right, folks, I'm gonna get out of here. Drive safe, heading back south to Tacoma, and appreciate you once again for hanging out with me. I'm gonna get up out of here for sure. As always, be good to each other. Take care of yourself. Stay flat. See you next time. Thank you.